Hey, I'm a guy in a bathrobe again, and this is my cat Woody. He's my special guest. Never mind. Yeah, his brother was named Buzz, but Buzz died, so I'm just left with Woody. That's not a. You can't make that up. So, the Quebec election's coming up, and I just want to talk about the empowerment of sovereignty in Quebec. The Conservatives' moves are really pissing off Quebecers. I mean, after his talk with the Governor General, he basically excluded the Bloc Québécois, talking about who he was going to align with. So he was talking about making deals with the NDP, with the Liberals, but he just left the Bloc Québécois out of it because, you know, lately he's been demonizing him as a, you know, separatist bastard. And, you know, people in Quebec aren't happy about this. The Globe and Mail showed a huge majority of Quebecers are in favor of the coalition. And even though that's not the same as the Canadian perspective, that's a huge number of Canadians that are against us. So, with the Quebec election coming up, it's always a decision between, do you want a federalist, do you want a sovereignist, or someone in the middle? Now, I know it's going to get a lot further towards the sovereignist side because the Quebecers are looking at Canada and, man, are our politics weak. Man, is our economic situation terrible. In November alone, 70,000 jobs were lost. 70,000. More than 3 Air Canada centers filled with, yeah, I know, it's terrible, with unemployed people. Now, the Quebec sovereignists want to separate because the culture is different, the language is different, obviously, and they think their economic situation is a lot better than ours. They have a lot of power, they have a lot of resources, they think they could do better by themselves than they can as a part of Canada. And you know what? A lot of that's right, but for the exact same reasons, Canadians want Quebec to stay in Canada, because their economics are strong, because they bring culture and they bring language, and it's a great land. So either way, it's a lose-win situation. So when Stephen Harper starts calling, you know, Quebecers separatists, I mean, he's not literally saying that, but everyone who's analyzing it is going to twist it that way, especially sovereignists in Quebec. They love it. They're loving what's happening in the Parliament buildings right now. They're just eating it up. They're so happy. They're overjoyed. The Bloc Québécois is getting more power if the coalition goes through. I'm not sure if it will. Hi to you too. What was I saying? Woody, what was I saying? And the sovereignists are looking at the Parliament buildings and saying, is this really what we want? Is this what Quebecers want? And Quebecers are saying, hell no. We don't want this. We didn't ask for this. We just voted, and now everything's changed. That's not what we want to be part of. And so, you know what? The separatist to federalist ratio in Quebec goes way up. And with the election coming up, that could be a bad thing. I mean, if you get the wrong party coming in on the election, you got a referendum coming. And we all know how tight those end up being. But really, if a sovereignist party wins the Quebec election and they get a referendum, I say, well, that's the choice of the people. The fact is, Stephen Harper isn't taking this into account. In fact, he doesn't really care. The last referendum, when Jean Chrétien was Prime Minister, Stephen Harper said, he doesn't care if 1, 2, or 3 countries come out of it. And really, do you think his views have really changed? I don't think so. I think he does. I think he puts up this farce for political reasons so that he stays popular in Quebec. But he's losing that popularity drastically and quickly in Quebec, like monumentally. The rest of Canada is holding him up high though, but Quebec's done with him. Quebec's done with him, and Quebecers want out more than ever. Should we keep them in? In 1995, last referendum, we kept them in somehow. We had huge rallies in Quebec. We overflowed their streets. A lot of Quebecers got more pissed off about that, but somehow they still stayed. Are we gonna... Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Quebec is a part of a strong Canada. Strong, united Canada. But would Quebec be stronger by itself? The things I can see happening if Quebec separates is a lot more than just Quebec being its own country. Quebec and Canada could end up being the most bitter rivals, because Quebec and the rest of the country already pretty much hate each other. Well, not really, but I mean the stereotypes are Ontarians hate Quebecers and Quebecers hate English-speaking people in general. They say we're stupid English people and we call them frogs. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I know some Quebecers and they're fine people, to be honest. So if Quebec separates, which who knows, they might someday, they might soon, could be sooner than we think. I mean, with all this turmoil in Ottawa, who knows what could happen next. They could pull it out somehow. I mean, everything that the Bloc Québécois does is so that eventually they can be their own nation. So if you don't think that him being in support of the coalition helps Quebec, you're wrong, because it does. It gives them power and it shows weakness in Canada, and that's going to get Quebecers to vote their way. So if Quebec separates, what do you think the Maritimes are going to do? They're all cut off. They don't feel particularly connected to Canada anyway. One of the latest provinces to join is in the Maritimes. So what if they start their own maritime country just because they're so cut off? I mean, they could do the same thing. Then the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and none of it feels cut off, and they follow their lead, and eventually, Ontario and Manitoba are all that's left, because Alberta likes their oil and they think their economics are strong without Canada. It's unlikely, but somehow I can see that trail of events happening. All in all, Quebec is an amazing province or country. Right now it's our province, and I think we should let the province choose for itself. Have another referendum. I mean, a lot of times since the last one has gone by, a lot of people have died and a lot of people have been born. A lot of new voters are there. Let's let them speak. We don't want to keep them hostage. If they want to leave, like I said, see you in the Olympics.